I'll be honest, I did not expect that first video in this series to be so well received, and that makes me really happy to know that you guys seem to enjoy me talking about manga. Even if it's weird manga that I find in the depths of various sites, I'm glad you guys like to hear me talk about them. So here's some more strange manga I found. And like before, this video is unscripted, and just because I find these manga to be strange does not necessarily mean they're bad. If anything, you might like them. It's all up to you, so maybe give them a shot if any of these interest you. And on that note, let's get started. The first manga we're going to be looking at today is Daisuki na Kainuka Tenseishita by Akasaka. The description for this epic reads, "My pet dog, best friend, is now an elementary student? Corporate slave salaryman Tomoki meets a boy named Leo. Suddenly, the boy claims that he was Tomoki's pet dog in his past life, and that this time it's his turn to protect Tomoki. A story about life every day with Leo, who, little by little, heals him." Well, I mean, the first manga I talked about in the previous video had to do with cats, so it makes sense that this video has a manga that has to do with dogs. And I actually have a manga saved that has to do with birds, so I could probably save that for the next video. But yeah, this manga only has about 2 chapters out, and it's fine, really. Nothing creepy so far, but it's hard to tell when there's only 2 chapters out. I checked the mangaka and they seem to specialize in making BL or boys love manga, which has me kind of suspect with this because you have a office worker with a small child. The whole shtick with the manga, as you can tell from the description, is the fact that this office worker had this dog growing up, and now that he's a tired adult, the dog came back as a child to take care of him. But if the mangaka was smart, they probably would have turned the dog into a big beefing golden kamui man and make him hairy and burly and make the 2 of them make out or something. But instead, you have this little small elementary school child taking care of this grown man, and it could be sweet, it could be sweet down the line, like Sweetness and Lightning, or, manga in that vein, but from these 2 chapters, I feel a little weirded out. I hope it's just me looking too deep into these things, and it's just gonna end up being nothing romantic or strictly, platonic, because he's referred to as the main character's little brother in the 2nd chapter, so maybe they'll go down that route. Whenever it comes back to the dog, it's pretty cute. I like how the dog is drawn here. Reminds me of the cats and that weird-ass cat manga I talked about the other week, but it's a little more competently drawn here. I really gotta, scout these manga ahead of time. How the hell am I gonna talk about a 2-chapter manga for, more than 3 minutes? From what I can gather, there's only gonna be 7 chapters altogether, so there's only 5 more, so I really hope in those 5 chapters he does not get with the dog child, because that's gonna be really weird. I just think dog manga is cursed. Remember that one I talked about the other week that got an anime? Yeah, I don't like that one. And speaking of manga I talked about the other week, remember the one I talked about the yandere? Well, here we got a tsundere. Specifically, the tsundere girl getting less and less soon day by day. This one is given to us by Yaki Tomato, and I am not rereading that description. I talked about the yandere manga getting updated frequently, but this one gets updated every other day. And it also seems to be handled by 2 different groups, which is kind of weird, but hey, I mean, if that's what you guys are into. They got this manga in Brazilian? The first chapter alone has 11 different English scanlator groups. I guess everyone was dying for this one. I had to keep going back and forth while checking the chapters to make sure I wasn't accidentally skipping one, because it seems like everyone and their mom was translating this damn thing. But basically, it follows the premise of each chapter being a single page, and you have exactly what is written in the title, where you have a tsundere girl who, little by little, with each chapter, opens up to the main character, who is you. You're the main character. That's you. Do you remember how in the previous video I mentioned how delinquent Yankee girls like to go ha in Japanese culture? For some reason, this specific scanlator group decided to translate that as her going har like a pirate, and it's really, really funny. I think it's this specific scanlation because for some reason everyone talks British, I guess? They call her a bint? What? There's this one line where she goes, "It's got sweet FA to do with you." What are you talking about? Why do you guys talk like this? Okay, yeah, for sure, these scanlators are British because she calls this delinquent dude a tosser. Alright, it's over, we're done. There we go, good old American. My language. But, look, I'm not gonna rack on the manga hard. This is obviously made by some artist on Twitter, so, leave them alone. Each chapter is about a page or two. It follows the typical boy meets a girl next door, girl's kind of a tsundere / delinquent, girl gets into altercation, boy saves her, she falls in love with him, and then, hijinks ensue. It's fine, it's cute. I like how the main girl is designed. She has a little brother named Hiro, so for the Mori fans out there, here you go. The girl kind of looks like Ryamu the more I look at her, but I'll try not to think about that too much. All in all, I like this a lot more than the Yandere manga that I've read, because it feels as though the plot is progressing here. And it's cute. I enjoy each chapter I read. I read about like 20 or so, and it's nice, a nice little manga. Is this as good as the pillars like Kaguya-sama? I mean, it's up to you. If you read it and you end up liking it, then hey, all the more power to you. It's a very quick read, but me personally, I'm just fine with it. It's fine. Also, I don't know if any of you guys do this, but before I read a romance manga, I like to click on the latest chapter to see if the main couple got together. And if they haven't by whatever number the manga is at, I simply do not read it. I do not have the time to be wasting with this back and forth cat and mouse game of he said, she said. I want these two to be happy and get together. That's all I ask. You guys should totally read Sweat and Soul, by the way. And what you might not want to read, or might want to, it's really up to you, is I am worried that my childhood friend is too cute. So you may be asking yourself, Ash, what's so weird about this manga? To which I say, let's look at the description. Amano, who returned to the city where he lived as a child for the first time in 10 years, meets Yukio Sawatari, a childhood friend, on their first day of transfer, when he, a male friend, turned female. Although she shares her joy as she suddenly turns into a girl and cannot hide her embarrassment, Yukio was affected by an illness, like 100,000 other people, suddenly becoming a girl. So-called spontaneous isomerism metamorphosis. The female childhood friend is cute and in trouble. Forbidden, TSF, it should be transgender, but whatever. Love. It's exactly what it says on the tin. Dude comes home and bada bing, bada boom, his childhood bro is now a girl, which is fine. The way it happens is really funny though. He's just in class and raises his hand, and then boom, he's a woman now, and he looks a lot like Supersonico. You get your standard gender bender, jokes and whatnot that they always fall back on. Like, it's funny that guys act like this and girls act like this. And it's like, okay, I get it. It's funny, I get it. Sometimes their face is drawn pretty cute. I like when characters have like this very simple kind of V-mount face, like Skip and Loafer. That's a really good manga you should check out. I like this panel where the main character goes, ah! The Scanlator group seems kind of upset in the credits. They're a little passive here and there. It's pretty funny though. I love watching infighting. But yeah, manga does the typical thing of, hey, here's a childhood friend, gender swapped, and now they're doing the same things that they did before, but now that one of them is a girl, all of a sudden it's awkward, it's embarrassing, Also from chapter 5 onwards, they get like really high quality scans, which I'm not complaining, but I think the muddy nature of the earlier chapters kind of added to the charm. And unfortunately, with the higher quality scans comes the introduction of this being a harem, when it introduces another girl who has the hots for the main character, and that's when I stopped reading. I do not want to see that. I'm good. I'll just move on to the next manga. What is the next manga? Oh god, is this one? Alright, here it comes. It's Mise Tagari no Suyonu-chan by Furumoto Takeru. Wait, hold on. Did I say who made that other manga I just talked about? That one was made by Ota Akiyoshi and Akinashi Ataru. So, go harass them. Or don't harass them. Don't actually harass them, please. Alright, well, back to this one. Let's take a look at that description. A little boy who has an armpit fetish, and a high school girl who loves male attention and exposing herself so much so that she doesn't care who it is. Why did these descriptions read like they were written by like ant people? When she notices that he has stalked her to her basketball game, she decides it wouldn't be bad to indulge him more. So it got one of my favorite tags, Gyaru, and then one of my least favorite tags, Shota, right next to each other. So that's how you know this is going to be the middest of mid. I know I'm not even showing anything explicit, but I just feel weird just showing off like, here are some armpits. Is this fashion? Is this how people dye their hair? I mean, if it is, then okay, you rock it, but like she looks a little silly. But basically, the main character enjoys showing off bits of her body to random passerby because she seems to enjoy it. And then you have Emporio from JoJo Part 6 hanging around, and he is really, really into armpits. So you got a girl who enjoys showing off her body and a kid who has an armpit fetish, and then they meet on the train and it goes downhill from there. There's a lot of really good panels in this one, let me tell you. Honestly, a train carriage is just heaven for armpit fetishists. See, that's how you know this woman has never been to Manhattan, because if you try pulling this stuff over there, you're gonna get beaten up by the rat people. Can't forget classic Shakespearean quotes such as, "Are you in love with my armpits or something?" I felt like I had to take a bath after this first chapter, I'll be honest. I like this drawing of a cat that's at the end of the chapter. I think it's the mangaka, or maybe it's the scan leader group, but either way I like it, it speaks to me. I kind of like how everyone in this manga has the same reaction to the main girl whenever she like exposes herself. They're just like, oh geez, and just kind of look away all like embarrassed. There's a part in chapter 2 where she applies deodorant and it goes exactly like how you might imagine it would. Her face here kind of reminds me of Marin from Dress Up Darling. She also calls the kid Sniper-kun for some reason. I don't know why. Look, all I gotta say about this manga is if you're into Grand Blue Fantasy and you're into Monogatari, then this Armpit Shotokan manga is just for you. If I have to keep looking at this girl's armpit stains on her shirt, I think I'm gonna go insane. So let's go on to the last manga. On second thought, maybe we should go back. Well, here's the manga we've all been waiting for. Dore wo Chokyushite Harem Sukuru by Aldehyde. The description reads, and I am not making this up, a man purchases 3 little slaves and begins to groom them into perfect girls for his harem. You will never have a gaggle of lollies with horns in your life. Crying face. This manga is commendable for being the first manga published and written on Epstein Island. I feel like I gotta use a VPN in order to read this manga. I should be sponsored. They should sponsor me for manga like this. Come on, Surfshark or Norden or whoever the hell sponsors VPNs, come on, call me. Anyways, this manga stars Hisoka from Hunter x Hunter, who decided Gon and Killua weren't enough and he wants to set his sights on 3 little girls. He buys these little girls for 3 doubloons and then takes care of them in order to groom them so that they could be a part of his harem when they're older. This is one of those instances where we shouldn't just check the hard drive of the mangaka, but we also need to check the hard drive of the people scanlating this, because what the hell is this? I guess there is some comedy to be found in Hisoka helping out these girls, all the while acting like he's some big tough villain. Like, he gives them proper meals, clothing, rooms to sleep in, bats, and then he has a shaded over face, and he's like, compared to when you had to beg on the ground, how does it feel to be treated like this? Okay, seriously, I think whoever translated this manga needs to be put on a list, bro. This is inhumane. Sometimes the art can actually be kind of nice, and I enjoy the screen tones that are used for their dresses and their hair. It's actually pretty nice to look at. I don't like looking at everything else though, I'll be honest. It's gotten to the point where I'm more interested in what the scan leader has to say at the end of every chapter, instead of actually reading this manga. Like, it's one thing that there's an abundance of isekai manga, which is whatever, but have you guys noticed there's so much isekai where it's like, you have the main character freeing a slave who falls in love with him for some reason? I know isekai are like considered otaku fantasy, but is that part of it? Do otaku want to free a slave and have them fall in love with them? Because it's kind of weird, but whatever. Had it not been for like the whole grooming thing and the slavery thing, I think this manga could have been kind of funny and cute in some ways. And you have this guy who acts like he's all high and mighty, but he actually takes proper care of these kids in need, and that would have been sweet had it not been for everything else surrounding this. Alright, well, once chapter 11 hits, they are kind of grown up, and it gets noticeably worse from there, so I'm going to stop reading at this point. FBI, this video is a parody, this is all a joke, please do not come to my house, please. But that about covers it for the manga I want to talk about this week, and boy, that sure was a selection. A whole lot of weirdo manga this time around, if I'm being 100% honest. I think the only one I didn't hate or was skeeved about was the Tsundere one, so go check that one out if you want. As for everything else, it's up to you if you want to read them or not, but I don't think you should. I think your time is spent reading something better, like go check out Pluto or something. Or you can go read Dungeon Meshi, that manga's ending soon. You could go read Dorohedoro. You can read anything but that weird old lolly manga I just talked about. But that will cover it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any recommendations or suggestions, feel free to let me know. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Take it easy.